What's going on, guys? Pixelated here, back at it again with another review. Today we are looking at the Nike SFAF1 or Special Field Air Force 1 in the Dust colorway. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you already know despite not liking the Nike Air Force 1s at all growing up, I absolutely love this silhouette, and if you haven't been watching, I have a review of these same sneakers in the desert camo and string colorways. If you're a fan of these, feel free to check those out as well. When these were first announced, there were tons of sites and speculation, unofficially naming these the Grayscale SFAF1s, which was soon to be corrected once people got pairs in hand from a handful of stores in the States that sold them early, or other parts of the globe. I can't really confirm what locations they're from, which was soon to be corrected once people got pairs in hand from a handful of stores in the States that sold them early, as the description on the box is SFAF1 QS Dust. In other words, not only is the colorway called Dust, which is probably one of the coolest colorway names I've heard of, this is a quick strike sneaker, which makes sense because the release was so sudden after the drop. It happened once and that was it. Almost every retailer that released these sold out immediately and no release was ever heard of again. So basically they came and went, and if you thought you were gonna get a second chance, you were SOL. Well, I mean, technically you do have a second chance. It's called StockX, GOAT, and eBay, since I'm pretty sure these are still going for an affordable amount of dollars, but nonetheless, you get my point. I was able to get my pair off a US site on release day. I believe they were released on the same day as the Desert Camos did in the US, which, if I recall correctly, was February 8th. I didn't bother to look it up just because at this point I doubt you guys really care. The reason why it took so long to review was because 1, they took about a week to ship, 2, I shipped it to a US address, so I had to wait until I was able to drive down to the States and pick them up, and 3, there were so many other releases in between that just kept taking precedence over these. Nonetheless, these are probably my favorite pair of Special Field Air Force 1s just because they're all gray. There were a few things that were holding me back from putting this in first place, but after having them in hand and wearing them, I couldn't resist. We'll get into those things in a bit. As for sizing, I did go half a size down, and I'd recommend everybody else do the same. Compared to the string and the desert camo, these actually fit a tad bit more snug, but after one wear, once again, these were good to go. I think the reason for the snug feel was the different materials used. The string had the suede, which was actually surprisingly giving and had decent room. The desert camo had the soft tumbled leather, and we'll get into the material of this one in a bit. So at this point, if you're a fan of this silhouette, you've probably seen a few videos on the SFAF1, or if you've watched my previous reviews, you know that most of this sneaker is largely the same as the rest of them. But in the case that this is your first SFAF1 review, I am going to go over everything again. As an introduction, of course, to the SFAF1 or Special Field, it is a heavily revamped design of the classic age-old Nike Air Force 1 silhouette, and was introduced by Nike in cooperation with designer Ben Kirshner at the butt end of 2016. He was inspired by military wear when creating the silhouette of this sneaker and gave it a much needed high top shroud type look. As I said earlier, I've never been a fan of the Air Force 1 until this silhouette came out, and my reasoning for that is I always found this midsole a little too chunky for my liking. However, with this sneaker, in my opinion, Nike finally got it right after 25 years of the sneaker's existence and balanced out the chunky midsole with a higher top upper that is just as fun as the sneaker's personality. Yep, that's right, I said it. However, with this sneaker, in my opinion, Nike finally got it right after 25 years of the sneaker's existence. Yeah, that's right, I'm saying 25 years after how successful the sneaker has been, I'm saying Nike just got it right. Just a reminder, it is my personal opinion. And they've balanced out the chunky midsole with a higher top upper that is just as fun as the sneaker's personality. These sneakers are named after the Air Force 1, which is the plane that carries the President of the United States, so that's a check mark. Or was a checkmark in the older days on the cool factor section of this sneaker checklist. The sneaker now has a handful of trinkets on it, so let's get into it. We have the quite obvious and renowned Nike Air Force 1 midsole and outsole in all gray. We then have the upper, the back area up to the opening, which is made entirely of not canvas, but ballistic nylon as Nike likes to call it, which I will give them credit for. Canvas isn't usually as sheen or smooth as this is, so this most definitely is nylon put together the same way canvas would be. In other words, it has the design and look of canvas while still having the shine and smooth texture of nylon, which is probably better for your foot than having your heel or shin area rubbing against rough canvas. Nobody's looking to get heel burns and cuts from the canvas friction. The front toe of the upper, aka the part that still maintains the Air Force 1 upper, is all gray. It is perforated in the toe box, and with the Nike swoosh running from the lateral side of the midfoot through the back ballistic nylon through to the medial side in symmetrical fashion. And this is why I was hesitant to put these in first place in my lineup of SFAF1s when I first saw it. It's because the entire upper is made from cracked leather, not buttery, soft leather, but cracked leather. With that being said, cracked leather isn't considered low quality. If anything, it's completely the opposite, but I personally do not prefer this material. I would much rather have these be soft tumbled leather like the Desert Camo SFAF ones, or even the soft leather they used on like a shattered backboard Air Jordan 1, which is a long shot exception. We know that not a lot of Jordans or Nikes have that leather. At the same time, I'm not mad at these being cracked leather. It's really just a minor nuance for me, and to be honest, I might come to like it. Of course, the tongue area of the shroud starts off as a ballistic nylon mesh at the bottom and continues up to the same cracked leather on the upper. Cracked leather just feels rougher in general and doesn't have the same soft feeling as higher quality leather, and that's probably why the shoe felt tight at first. You can also chip the cracked leather easily because it's cracked leather, and you can see the super tiny pieces separated but still held together across the upper. This version of the SFAF1 comes with the strap across the upper with the label that says that this is a winterized sneaker. In my opinion, you can definitely wear these in the cold to a certain extent. Whether I will do that is yet to be determined. That's a lie, I will most definitely do it. Just know that there is no traction if you're trying to go on like smooth surfaces that are going to be layered with ice or snow. You're definitely not going to get through them with these on. And unlike the string colorway, this pair comes with the paracord that came with the original release pairs of the sneaker. It doesn't come with that Kevlar tote bag that the OG release pairs came with, but I'm not bummed, and nor am I complaining because I would probably never use it anyway. And to be able to use them, you'd have to take the paracords off the sneaker and connect them to the bag to create the handles. Yeah, right, these babies would stay on the sneaker 24/7, so I'd basically have a non-functioning sack to cover my head with. What? I did it again, didn't I? Said something weird? Moving on, the entire shoe is gray, but if you hit it with enough sunlight, you can kind of see it turn this purplish hue. I mean, it's not a secret feature of the sneaker or anything, it's just the material and I guess how it reflects in extreme sunlight. But I think this is really cool as it adds another dimension and look to the shoe. It's not 4D, that's not what I mean. You get what I mean. But I'm a huge fan of a lot of gray shoes, the Soulbox Ultra Boost and the Reigning Champ Asics for example. I'm not gonna say every gray shoe because there definitely are quite a few ugly ones, but I love gray, and so this has trumped the string colorway and has become my favorite colorway of the SFAF1. That's right guys, you might be grayscale, but you still gonna get that hype beast lacing. These come with memory foam insoles too, so they're supremely comfortable compared to most Air Force Ones and other retro or classic Nike shoes. These also have the tongue pouch for your weed stash if anyone was interested. Yep, that's right, I said it, that's what it is. Let's just be frank. I will say this about the comfort though, after wearing the acronym Air Force One Downtown SPs, no Special Field Air Force One will ever trump those in comfort. I was honestly on the brink of getting rid of all my Special Field Air Force Ones and just keeping those. That's how significant the difference is. Regardless, the style in these sneakers is overdose AF, and I couldn't say no to having a paracord strap wrapped across my ankle. I'm addicted, guys. I'm kind of praying Nike takes a break from releasing any more of these because I don't want to have to be forced into buying another pair if it's a hot colorway. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed the review. Let me know if you like these sneakers or if it's still a design you could do without. I feel like everybody needs a pair, at least one pair of these in their collection, but that's just me. If you took anything from this video, hit that like button and please subscribe for more juicy content. Pixelated, out.